Hey guys, it's Mars. I've been getting a lot of requests and messages, just kind of asking me how I actually moved to New York from Alabama. And if you guys don't know, I am from Alabama. Before I moved to New York, I was working in Birmingham, Alabama. So I live by myself in a studio apartment in Birmingham in like the South Side, which was really cool. But yeah, I moved to New York in 2014, and since then, I feel like I've accomplished a lot, but that is not what this video is about. This video is about how I actually physically got to New York and was able to do that, and on a budget because I was not wealthy or rich, and I'm still not wealthy or rich. I was basically broke, and so I'm gonna give you tips on how to move to New York when you're broke or when you don't have a lot of money. So if you want to move to New York from anywhere, just go ahead and keep watching. Alright, so I'm also gonna be doing my makeup while I talk to you guys, so hopefully that's cool. So actually my first tip on kind of how to get here is preparation. So you're gonna need to prepare before you actually move, and I moved within 2 weeks. So if I can prepare and move and make it here physically unharmed in 2 weeks, then you guys can too. So first things first, this is my foundation. I use the NYX Total Control drop foundation, and the shade is Cappuccino. It's actually pretty good coverage or whatever for me. I mean, my skin is pretty good, but I do have like some dark spots here and there, so it's pretty good coverage for that. Anyway, so before I got ready to move, I did have to prepare. I was living in a studio, so I had a lot to do. So first thing that I did was try and find someone to sublet my apartment. I still had about maybe 2 or 3 months left on the lease, so I definitely like couldn't afford to pay that rent and then also pay more rent on top of that while I was in New York. So I was like, okay, I have to find someone to sublet. So that was my first move. I was like, okay, gotta get someone in here before I leave. And the way that I did that is I was like literally relentless about it. Like I made flyers. So like I printed out flyers, I put them up around like the south side area, like near my like near my apartment. At the time I was working also at a grocery store. So I would just put it up around like there and just all around the city, so that way like someone saw it, you know what I mean. I was also like selling my couch and like selling a lot of different things like trying to do. Yeah, I just put like things up on Craigslist. So like I put stuff up on Craigslist. And like I was relentless about that too, because like I put so many just like ads up at one time in like the different groups on Craigslist about my apartment. Like even if someone like was selling their apartment, I like I put my apartment up for the sublet in like multiple channels. And also I made sure to like put up really nice photos of my apartment. Like that actually makes a difference when you're trying to get someone to actually like click on the ad for your apartment. So like my apartment was pretty cute. Also if you hear banging, I'm sorry, like someone's doing some work within our apartment right now. Yeah. Anyway, so that actually helps. Like I found that a lot of people were like commenting on my apartment like, oh my god, your apartment's really cute. And I mean, aesthetically I feel like my apartment was cute anyway, because it was like a historical apartment, so it was like older but not totally horrible looking. And so yeah, that helped. And then I just like, my rent wasn't that expensive. I think it was like five something, you know, which is normal in Alabama to have an apartment for like $500 by yourself. You will not find that in New York, so be prepared for that. So yeah, I'm just going in with this. I don't wear a ton of makeup, you guys, so I got this from someone from work. It's like a brush, and you just like brush it on your face. So I'm gonna do my best with this. But anyway, so yeah, so I did that. And just like put it up on Craigslist because that was the only way like I really knew how. And actually, like, I didn't tell a lot of people that I was moving. Like, I told some of my friends that I was moving, but I didn't tell my family that I was moving to New York until 2 days before, because I didn't want anyone to talk me out of moving at all, because I was just sick and tired of like living in Alabama. So I was like, I'm moving, I'm leaving. And another thing that happened during that time was I applied to go to Parsons. A friend had asked me, you know, an old friend asked me, like, what's one of the things that you always wanted to do, you know, because I was complaining to him about how miserable I was. And he was like, well, what's one of the things that you always wanted to do? And I said, I've always wanted to go to Parsons for fashion. And he was like, well, just apply. Like, I'm going to hold you to it. Just go ahead and apply. And so in the midst of, you know, before me moving, like, I got into Parsons. So that's one of the reasons why I moved in the first place. And so in preparation for that, like I said, I had to find a sublet. So like I put stuff up on Craigslist. I put flyers around to sell my furniture. And then also, like I said, I had a second job. So like that's my second tip, is saving. Like, go ahead and pick up a second job if you know you really want to leave, because it's really going to help you in the long run. Like the fact that I had a second job, it just, first of all, it allowed me to pay for like printing my flyers out, or like, you know, just like little different things that you don't think you're gonna need to pay for in preparation for you even moving. And then like it just came in handy for extra money before I even moved, or like even while I was moving, or after I moved. So definitely, like, if you have a job, that's great. But like if you have time to pick up a second job before you know that you're gonna move, or like, you know, give yourself a time frame, go ahead and pick up a second job, so that way all that money can go towards like extra things for you moving. So like when I for my transportation, which brings me to my third tip, take the cheapest way possible. My the way that I went was through Greyhound, and my ticket was like, I think it was like $119. Like, it really wasn't even that much. Which I was lucky, because I was like traveling like on a weekday. Like, it wasn't, you know, like any special day. Like, I was just like, okay, this is the day that I'm leaving, and I think it was like on a Tuesday or something. I don't know. I can't remember. But like my ticket was like $119, and I made sure to like, you know, go ahead and reserve it as soon as I had the money, which was really great. So as soon as I had the money, I just went ahead and reserved it. So that was out of the way. And then also, like, when I was packing up my apartment, I just was like, okay, like the things that I know I don't need, I'm just getting rid of. So like, luckily, when it came down time to like me actually getting ready to move, I actually had to tell one family member. Like, I was like, okay, I need to tell my family because I need their help right now. So like, one of my aunts had a storage unit, and I was like, and like, I moved in May, and our family has a annual garage sale for Memorial Day. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like, I can just, you know, leave my furniture with my aunt and they could sell it during Memorial Day, because like obviously I'm not gonna use it, like no one else. I didn't want to like leave it there like on the curb or something. So I gave it to my aunt, and she actually like kept it in her storage unit until it was time for her and my aunt and my mom to have their garage sale. And they like ended up like selling a bunch of my stuff like within the garage sale, which I'm so thankful to them for. But yeah, so did that, which worked out pretty well. And yeah, I mean, if like, you know, they weren't able to do that, I would have just like tried to get it, you know, like, you know, like take it to like a Goodwill, because you can do things like that and just like drop it off, like even if you can't get money for it, like you just drop it off. So so I did that, and yeah, so like got the transportation, and then like aside from that, like yeah, packed up my place. Like one of my friends came over and she helped me pack up a little bit, like the night before I was supposed to move. And then like literally that day, like down to the wire, like my aunt and like one of my friends' husbands and also like my cousin came over to help me like pack up the bigger things that were gonna go in that storage unit. So that was really cool. And then I know my sister came, like my sister was in college, so she drove up to like see me off. And yeah, like I think whenever I did leave, I had like 2 or 3 luggages. So like I remember having a small luggage, and I think I had like 2 large pieces of luggage, which when you travel on Greyhound, like they give you like 1 luggage for free, but then you have to pay for the other 2, or like 1 luggage that's under 50 pounds, then you have to pay for the other 2 additional. So like I ended up having to pay for that. Actually, I think my aunt ended up paying just because she's really gracious, but like obviously like be prepared to pay for that. Like I was prepared to pay for the extra luggages because I knew I was gonna have to pay for it, but she's just so gracious that she was like, no, I'll just get it or whatever, which was nice. I think she even brought me like food to eat on the bus. That's also like a bonus tip. Make sure that when you're traveling, you travel with food. Like you have things that are going to sustain you, because like when I was on the Greyhound, that trip was a whole day. Like it was an entire day. And I mean, it sounds strenuous, but you know, it's just something that I was like, okay, like we're doing this, you know, like I have to do it. So I really didn't think about like, oh, it's gonna be a whole day where you're gonna be like on a Greyhound bus with like whoever, you know, like you don't know who's on there. But luckily I did have mace, so I carried that with me and just like made sure that I have food. And I mean, I'm a very attentive person, so like, you know, I'm always paying attention to my surroundings. And then also like when you're traveling on Greyhound, you're making so many stops that you kind of have to be, or else you're gonna miss the bus, and like obviously you don't want to do that, right? So yeah, so that was my tip for transportation. Okay, when you finally get there, you're gonna need housing, right? So before I left, I have a friend, and Lindsay, hi Lindsay, she actually helped me find my first apartment that I lived in, and that was through Craigslist. Now, do I recommend Craigslist now? No. But I did find a place that was really, really cheap. For like, I think it was like $4.95 for like 1 month's rent. But I lived with like 2 other girls, and even before I left, like we were Skyping each other, which is very important. Like if you are gonna find housing on Craigslist, please make sure that you actually talk to the people that you're gonna be rooming with and living with. Like I made sure that I Skyped them and like they were legit, you know. Like they Skyped me, and I was just like trying to make sure that they knew that I was serious about moving, because obviously like it's a big risk for them if they're trying to get you into the apartment and they don't actually know if you're gonna come or not, because they don't know if you're trying to scam them, or if you don't know if you're trying to scam, or if they're trying to scam you. So just make sure that you actually like converse with them, and like there's no excuse for anyone to be like, oh, well, you can't see my face or whatever. Like, no, sorry. Like, we have Skype, we have FaceTime, like so many interactive ways for someone to actually like check you out. So we made sure to Skype. So make sure that you find like your living before you leave. Because it's like really important. Like, you don't want to just like go up there and like don't know where you're gonna live. Don't do that. Like, even if you have someone who already lives up here and you like stay with them for a while, that's fine too. But just like make sure that you have a viable place to stay before you leave. Finding work. So like, please make sure that you have a job lined up before you come up here. Or at least like have money saved up, like from the extra job that you're gonna pick up, right? Before you come up here. So I had a little bit of money like left over, which came in handy, because I actually had a job set up for me, like an interview set up, which I was confident about it, because it was at Urban Outfitters, because I used to work at Urban in Alabama, in Birmingham. And so when I got ready to leave, I was like, oh, I can just like, work at Urban. Now, before I left, I was not working at Urban. I was working somewhere else. And so I was like, okay, cool. Like, I can just work at Urban for the time being until I like find, another like steady job, salary job or whatever. Because like obviously I moved to like work in fashion and go to school. And side note, I actually didn't end up going to school because it's mad expensive to go to Parsons, and I already have a BA. I have a BA in journalism, and from the University of Alabama. So like, wow, when I got up here, I quickly realized like, wow, okay, so someone's drilling. But yeah, so definitely saving is like really important. Like, I budgeted my money so well, and I only had about like $2,000 to move with, which in hindsight it wasn't a lot of money, but like I said, taking the cheapest way possible for transportation and just like making it work like really helped me, because like I couldn't afford a flight, so that was just out. Like, that was just not an option. And then like the train was like equally expensive. So yeah, so like just budget your money as best as possible. And like, if you're not a bus person and if you have the money to take the train or to take a flight, then do that. Because I mean, if that works for you, then cool. But like, if you're like me and you don't, and like, you're working for everything you have, and like you just want to get away and you like know that's what you want to do, then I would suggest, just budgeting your money. Make sure you know where every single cent is going to, because like it's obviously very crucial for you to move, and like when you're moving, right? So yeah, I just say like focus on that. And then like I said, just like with jobs, just apply. Like for me, I actually ended up messing up my opportunity to transfer and work at Urban, because like I said, like I knew I was going to get the job because I had already worked there before, so it was going to be a piece of cake. But so I went there, I had an interview, and they were like, okay, we want you to like talk with the manager, which means they basically are going to hire you. And because I was exhausted from my trip up there, I ended up missing my interview. Like, I thought that it was like a different day and like so much was going on trying to get like settled that I ended up missing the interview. Don't do that. Make sure that you're paying attention to what day it is, to like when they say, you know, they needed an interview or whatever, because like that actually set me back a little ways. So yeah, which like obviously just like wasn't fun. I was like freaking out about it. So don't do that. But it actually helped me because it made me a lot more urgent. Like I had a lot more urgency because like I obviously was like, okay, I need to have a job. I need to find, like, I need to have money. I need to be able to, you know, continue to pay my rent. So what I did was I just like applied to everything. And it was easier for me because I no longer had an Alabama address. I had a New York address that I could use. So I was just like, okay, like cranking out everything. I started going on interview after interview after interview. And like luckily, I ended up finding a job at a bakery, a well-known bakery in New York. And I worked there for a little while. But I ended up eventually finding a job. But so that you don't make the same mistake that I did, like just make sure you at least have interviews set up for you to go to, or like if you could transfer your job, like that's the easiest way, you know what I mean, because they already know that you can do the work, and that way it's like less stress for you and it's just like a seamless transition. But like if you don't have a job or anything, that you can transfer to, I would just say like just make sure that you apply, even if you have to use an Alabama address. Like just make sure you tell them that, like, you know, you're moving up there, like you have everything set in place to move. Let them know like when you'll be there, like give them a definite date of when you can interview, because that's what I did with Urban. Like I told them, I was like, hey, I'm moving to New York, I'll be there literally like this day, and I gave them a definitive date and actually stuck to it. I just happened to miss my follow-up interview, and which made them not want to give me the job, that's okay. But definitely go ahead and make sure that, you know, you have something set up, so that way, like, you know, you just like, it's a seamless transition. You get up there, you have a job, and you just like continue to live or whatever. And yeah, I think in my next video I'm gonna talk more about like my whole entire journey of like how I got up here, how I moved. So like if you guys want to see that, just let me know. I have no problem just like, you know, telling that story or like going more into detail. So like if you guys want to know more about that, then definitely like leave a comment below saying that like, yeah, I want to hear more about your story, or like if you guys have any additional questions or tips that like you would want me to give you, I definitely can do that. Yeah, I mean, these are just my own tips of like what I did based upon like my situation. I don't think I left anything out though, but yeah, hopefully you guys got something out of this. Like, I just really wanted to like give the tips that I had and like, you know, hopefully inspire someone to like, you know, just like take the leap. It's scary, but it's definitely worth it. Like, you know, I had to like take, you know, a small job that like I really didn't want to have to take, but I did it anyway because, you know, I obviously needed money just to sustain myself, and it took me a little while, you know, to really get on my feet. But I mean, at least you would be here, you know what I mean? And like, I had to go through all of that within 2 weeks. All the tips that I gave you, like, I went through that within 2 weeks, and I made it up here, and I'm still living here, and I'm still working. So it's definitely possible. So like I said, if you guys have any additional questions, just like leave them in the comments below. Make sure to like this video and to subscribe. Check out my previous video. I did a video on fall winter trends, so check out that video if you haven't. Like I said, subscribe to my channel because I will be putting out new videos pretty much every week. And if you guys have any questions about me or anything, leave those in the comments below. Oh, make sure to follow me on social media. My Instagram is Mars the Creative. My Twitter is Mars the Creative. My Snapchat is Mars the Creative. So yeah, hopefully you guys like this video. Like I said, I'm gonna go, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.